So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Summerfest 24 Art Talks. Yes, tonight we are sitting with Percy May and Jamie Williams, who are our guest presenters. They've traveled in from out of town to be with us this weekend. This is actually day 2 of Art Talks for Festival Concert 1. So, we can just kind of tap that. That's where we're at. Oh, and my name is Amy Elizabeth. And I am the artistic director of AIM Dance. And so we just want to have a casual conversation about your work. So let's start by telling a little bit about yourself. You want to go first since you have the mic, Jamie? Just a name. You want to throw out some credentials or
I can do that.
fun fact?
Okay.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for coming. My name is Jamie Williams. I am the dance program coordinator at San Jacinto College. I have been there investing my time and energy in that for 10 years. I received my BFA and my MFA from Sam Houston State University in the dance program. I am a certified Laban Bartenieff movement analyst and educator, and I am currently a certified yoga teacher at the 200 hour, currently working towards my additional 300 hours to be a 500 hour, and there's all my credentials. I did it first. Okay.
Your turn. Oh boy. Hello. I'm Persi. I grew up in Michigan. I got my BFA in contemporary dance from Indiana University. And then I spent a couple years in Kansas City doing independent work. I danced with City in Motion Dance Theater. And then I moved to Houston a couple years ago. I'm currently a company member with Urban Souls and a resident artist at the Houston Metropolitan Dance Center. Making works, performing in works, doing the things.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so what we're here to do this weekend is present some of those works that we've been working on. So you can choose this time who wants to take this one first. But if you could give us maybe the title of the work, and then kind of, you don't have to, if you got secrets, you don't have to give your secrets away, but like if investigations, explorations, themes, ideas behind the work, or how you came to the desire to create this work. Any of that.
It seems like you want me to go.
So
I'm giving
perceptive.
you the option.
Okay. My piece is called I Know, I Know. And it's a solo that I made on myself. And it was originally made on the idea of making the solo on myself because I spent a lot of time choreographing by myself. Having moved to Kansas during COVID, where I didn't know anybody, and then moving to Houston, where I didn't know anybody, I was often just doing things on my own, keeping up my own training, um, choreographing. So it was kind of the internal struggle of what am I making and why are these thoughts happening while I'm creating? And I don't have anyone to give me feedback. And is that good? And is that bad? And does it matter? And that's kind of where that started.
Perfect.
So the title of my work is Jessie, Lucy, Sally, Teddy, and Sue. The title came much later, as I didn't really know what to call it. It is a quintet, and it is centered around a prop, which is sort of an idea that developed. I started this work the way that I start a lot of my works, and that's really highly conceptual, with a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things that seem to kind of revolve or live in the same world. And so to organize that, the tool that I usually use is mind mapping. And I like mind mapping because it gives me the ability to organize my thoughts without organizing my thoughts, if that makes sense. So it gives me the ability to get it all down on paper, without creating any sort of limits or boundaries, any sort of lists or priorities. It helps me just to get it all there. Um, some of the ideas and the concepts are in the work, and some of them are not, but it all just sort of comes from this place. Um, the inspiration where it all kind of started is the Barbie movie came out. And I was watching an interview where one of the cast members, I don't remember who now, was talking about how everybody had an ugly Barbie, right? And the ugly Barbie is a character in the Barbie movie. Sorry to spoil it for you. There's an ugly Barbie. Um, and I thought to myself, I didn't have an ugly Barbie. I know people, children that I played with that had ugly Barbies. And I started to kind of think about that in the way that I treated my dolls, and I didn't draw my dolls or rip out their hair or experiment with them. No offense, if you did any of that, that's great. You're probably really healthy. Um, but I didn't do that, and I started to kind of explore like what that means and what that means for me personally. And so it's for me, this was an exploration of the idea of the concept that the way that we interact with our toys, our playthings, our dolls, our stuffed animals becomes the way that we create relationships around ourselves. So then I started thinking about the friendships that I had as a child and the way that I interacted, the role that I played in those relationships and in those friendships, and how that just creeps up on you and becomes the way you are with people as an adult, unless you're really aware of it and you make conscious choices to change the things that you don't like. And so taking a hard look at, through a very personal lens of who I am, this work was that exploration for me. Now, I think when you watch the work, you're not going to see that. So,
Well, that was going to be my follow-up statement, is that it seems that both of the works that we're talking about come from a very internal place. And so my question would be, how do you feel about the audience's response? Or do you feel, I mean, it's going to be put in front of people, essentially. So what is that role or relationship or expectation that you have with the audience? Do you want them to see the intimacy? Do you want them to see the real idea that you're, or where is that limit for you that is acceptable as the artist putting that on?
I can start. I can start. Okay. So the relationship that I feel that I have with my work, this is such a great question. The relationship I feel that I have with my work is that it's going to develop. It almost takes on a life of its own. Um, and I plant a seed and it grows. And sometimes I think it's going to be a dandelion and it's like a bouquet of roses. It's like totally different, right? Or I think it's going to be this polished thing and it becomes wildflowers. And I really, I guess more recently, as I've gotten older, as I'm doing this more, as I'm creating more, I've really embraced that and I allow that to be. Um, but sometimes there are boundaries. Like I think as an artist, as a creator, you have to figure out what it is that you want to say. For instance, and some of the imagery that is in my work is this idea of a family portrait. I wanted to showcase specifically that these people, this group of people, are interrelated. And I felt like the strongest way to do that would be with this family portrait. I thought it was only going to be at the beginning, and then I felt like it was such a strong statement that you'll see it reappearing over and over and over again. And that really, once I committed to that idea and I said, this is what I want to show, um, a new meaning started to develop. And I had to decide if that meaning was okay or not. And I decided it was.
Wonderful.
There's choices you make, is all I'm saying. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is making and crafting, yes? It's a series of choices.
As a creator, I've accepted and embraced and really love that everyone is looking at your work through their own lens.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm creating, I'm not worried about how other people are going to perceive it because they're going to see what they need to see, or they're going to see what they, uh, however they see it. And I could think like I'm clearly painting in red, and someone walks up to me and they're like, I love your blue painting. And I I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love to hear what people think about my work or what they saw. And especially if I haven't told them what it means to me before they've seen it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, coming from an internal place, I hope that it hits the audience somewhere internally. But if it doesn't, then
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah.
And they're seeing what they need to.
Giving them permission, right? It's
Yeah.
all about, we were having a conversation earlier about the idea of permission and having to, we feel as if giving people permission, almost having to tell the audience, you have permission to view this, you have permission to experience it, and you can't be wrong
Yes.
because you're the only one in the room with that background, with that aesthetic preference, right? You have your own unique situation that's going on within you. So each person's going to have a slightly different. It's really
Yeah.
beautiful. It did bring up the question of, has it always been that way? Because I know for me as a young artist, I would come up with this plan and I want them to see this. This is my message. This is what I really want to see. So has it always been that way for you, that it's, you're giving the audience permission to experience, or has there been a journey or within that relationship with the audience?
I think for me, it's pretty much always been that way when I'm creating, because I had the experience when I was younger seeing shows and taking that information and then reading the program and going, oh, wow, I was off, but I wasn't off. I wasn't off at all. It was just how I interpreted
Yeah.
the work.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I
think
don't
that
know is a legit answer.
yeah, I think that that's a really great question, and I think I can say that I don't think I always gave myself permission to let the work develop into whatever it needed to be, and I think that I suffered because of that, because I would not allow it to become. And I don't remember the first time that I allowed that to happen, but I do remember it feeling transformative. And I was like, "Oh wow. This could be great." Through almost like no effort of my own, you know? So, yeah.
It just unfolds sometimes. And it's interesting we talk about, you both mentioned your titles because I asked you to. Thank you for that. But I actually, coming into this conversation, was thinking about the titles. I'm a peculiar audience member that actually does not like to be influenced by your titles because I want my own perception. I want to be able to think for myself first. Like you said, and then you go back, you're like, oh, okay, I was off. But no, I'm not. So can you speak a little bit? I mean, because I have thoughts in my own head, but this is about you, not me. So can you speak a little bit to the title? Because and then I might tell you the perception that I got from it. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll keep it to myself. But
I can start. So my title did come later, and after the work was already complete. And sometimes that happens, but most of the time I have a working title in mind. I had absolutely no working title in mind with this one. I was just like, let's do this. Okay. And everything that I was thinking of was just like, it didn't feel like it was doing it justice. And so I kind of spent some time coming back to where this started for me inspirationally. Jessie, Lucy, Sally, Teddy, and Sue are the names of my bears. Teddy is my teddy bear that I was given at birth and has been my attachment, love, relationship, animal, thing, buddy, friend. And I started kind of exploring what I did as a child, and I did this, and I kind of started questioning, like, is this normal? Do other people do this? Teddy had a family. every other stuffed animal that I got after Teddy was related to Teddy in some way. Teddy was the main character, the star of the show, if you will. Teddy had a paw bear and a maw bear named Bob and Sue, and he had Jessie, his favorite cousin, and he had Sally and Lucy, who were his sisters. And I have these bears, and I brought them into rehearsal once I realized what the title was, and my dancers had a photo shoot with the bears, and it was great. Um, and I like, it's a really weird title, like for me. I think like I it's a weird title in my opinion because I don't really title things that way. But I did feel like what it did is it didn't lend too much information. It gave like it gave a sense of these are these people, these are these characters, these are these humans, and they have a name and they're in relationship, and that's really all I need the audience to know.
Yep.
So
I have a really hard time with titles. I they're just very definitive. But this title for me, I would say was kind of I could depending on how I decide to read it that day, it's either like an affirmation and an echo, or it's doubt. You have to tell yourself something over and over again because you don't really believe
Yeah.
it. So that is,
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And after seeing the work, it makes sense. And I would say, like, for me, I will tell you my opinion, if that's all right. Would you like to hear it?
yes, I would love to.
Yes. Okay. Well, the I know, it was very much, I got a sense of I am processing through this. It's an internal exploration, and it's something that I'm investigating, which I saw before the title. So. Yes. And for Jamie, I saw family. They each have their own name, and then we have this family portrait. I'm like, no, these are each individual people who do have a relationship with one another, but it was almost like, this is my family, like our family tree situation. So yeah, I'm not just saying that because I heard them say what their dances were about. That was really what I thought. Yeah. Yeah.
I also like I watched your work. I'm able to be in the audience because I'm not performing in mine, right? So I just wanted to add that like when I read the title and then saw the work, it felt like like I read it as I know, like don't tell me, like I've got this. Do I really have it? Like so for what that's worth, I'm just throwing it out there. It's
Yeah.
a different interpretation, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, some feedback. Okay, so I do believe that I got the wrap it up, Amy sign. So no, seriously, thank you. I could do this all night. So thank you so much for coming up here and putting yourself on display for all of us and talking about your work. I really appreciate it. Yeah, fantastic. Seriously, beautiful.